Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're setting off on another journey. And this time, it's with one of India's most trusted low-cost airlines. Indigo Airlines, straight from Delhi's vibrant Indira Gandhi International Airport, Terminal 3. If you've flown through Delhi before, you know the energy here is something else. The buzz of announcements, the endless lines of travelers, the sight of planes from all over the world waiting at the gates. It feels less like just an airport and more like a city that never sleeps. So here's what we're going to do today. I'll walk you through every part of the experience, check in security, the lounges, the food, the boarding, the flight itself. And along the way we'll share a few stories from fellow travelers. Because that's what makes airports special, right? Not just the planes, but the people and the stories they carry. Check-in with Indigo was actually pretty smooth. Staff were quick, polite, and clear. You know that feeling when you're already anxious about luggage weight or boarding passes, but then someone at the counter greets you with a smile. It just makes the whole experience easier. That's Indigo for you. In fact, once I even lost my phone at the airport, and Indigo staff went out of their way to help me find it. Little touches like that build trust. Boarding was just as organized, clear announcements, neat lines, no pushing or rushing. It's small things like this that really set the tone of your journey. Now, Delhi Airport itself deserves its own story. This terminal is huge, sleek, and designed to keep travelers busy and comfortable. You don't just pass time here, you experience it. Lounges are one of the highlights. Imagine sinking into a soft chair, sipping hot coffee while planes glide past the windows outside. It's like a pause button before the adventure continues. And then, of course, the food court. Delhi Airport is a food lover's paradise. Want authentic Indian street flavors? You'll find them. Want pizza, pasta, or a classic burger? They're all here. I honestly feel like the food court alone is worth a visit. And here's something I love about airports. The people you meet on this trip. I spoke to a family who had been saving for months to go on a beach vacation. The dad shared how he used to visit the same beach as a kid. And now he was excited to show his own children. The kids couldn't stop talking about sandcastles and swimming. That sparkle in their eyes said it all. Then there was a businessman seated nearby. He flies Indigo almost every week and swears by their punctuality. He told me he even has a favorite seat that he books every single time. It's funny how even something as routine as flying can become a personal ritual. Of course, not every trip is perfect. Once my Indigo flight was delayed and I thought I'd miss a connection. But to their credit, the staff kept everyone updated, gave out food vouchers and handled it calmly. That kind of service matters, but let me also be real with you and share two not-so-great Indigo experiences. Because every airline has its rough days. On one flight, I remember the air conditioning wasn't working properly. It was a short flight, but imagine being in a packed cabin with minimal airflow. Everyone was fanning themselves with the safety cards, kids were crying, and tempers were running high. The crew did their best handing out extra water bottles, but honestly, it was one of those flights you're just counting down the minutes to land. Another time, there was major baggage mix-up. A friend of mine flew Indigo, and his suitcase didn't arrive at the destination. Not only was it missing, but it also had some important documents and gifts. He said the staff took 2 full days to locate it and return it. While it eventually came back safe, the stress during those hours was unbearable. That's the side of travel we don't often talk about, but it's part of the reality. So yes, Indigo usually delivers what they promise. Affordable fares, decent punctuality, and a huge network across India. But there are times when the experience isn't so smooth, and I think sharing both sides makes the story more complete. Because in the end, airports are more than just transit points. They're places where excitement meets nervousness, where strangers cross paths and where memories begin. The sight of planes lining up, the sound of engines roaring to life, the energy of travelers heading in 100 different directions. It all reminds you that travel is about more than reaching a destination. It's about the journey. As my flight finally took off, I looked down at the city of Delhi, the glowing streets, the endless movement, the heart of India, beating below. And I thought to myself, Delhi never disappoints. Until next time, I'll be back. It all began with a simple, almost impulsive decision. I was scrolling through travel websites late one night. A short, spontaneous trip was calling my name. The destination was less important than the journey itself. My eyes scanned the screen, past exorbitant fares, past complicated itineraries. Then, I saw it. A flight so cheap it felt like a typo. Indigo Airlines, India's ubiquitous blue and white carrier. A one-way ticket for a price less than a decent dinner in a city restaurant. The allure hit me instantly. Not just saving money. An adventure promised by the rock-bottom price. My finger hovered over the book now button, excitement and skepticism. What would such a cheap ticket buy? Hidden fees, uncomfortable seating, gruff service. The questions were many, but my curiosity was greater. The booking was confirmed. I intentionally chose the most basic fare, foregoing any add-ons like seat selection, extra baggage, or in-flight meals. I wanted the pure, unadulterated, cheapest of the cheap experience. On the morning of the flight, I packed my single small backpack with meticulous care, ensuring it met the strict cabin baggage limitations. Every item was weighed and considered. This wasn't just packing, it was a strategic operation. The feeling was liberating. I was untethered from the burden of heavy luggage, a minimalist traveler ready for anything. The journey had already begun to teach me things before I struck up with the student sitting to my left. He was traveling home for the holidays from his university in another city. He told me that he flies this route several times a year and always chooses Indigo. It's the only way I can afford to see my family so often, he explained. A minor challenge arose mid-flight when some turbulence hit. The plane bounced and swayed. A few nervous gasps could be heard around the cabin. The seatbelt sign flashed on. A calm, reassuring voice from the cockpit informed us that we were passing through a patch of rough air. The cabin crew walked the aisle, checking on passengers with a professional calm that was incredibly soothing. The episode was over in a few minutes, but it was a reminder of the trust we place in the pilots and crew. Even on the cheapest of flights, safety and professionalism were clearly not compromised, which was the most important comfort of all. As the plane began its descent, I reflected on the entire experience. The journey had been a series of small trade-offs. I had traded space and amenities for an incredibly low price. I had traded a hot meal for the satisfaction of sticking to my budget. I had traded the convenience of a taxi for the local color of a metro ride. The flight had been exactly what it promised to be. No frills, efficient, punctual. There were no unpleasant surprises. You get precisely what you pay for. For me, yes, it was worth it for the money saved